If you haven't seen the debate between Cy Ten Bruggencate and Matt Dillahunty, I recommend it. Now, I know a lot of people, when they hear presuppositionalists, they want to tear their hair out, but I find their goofy word games to be very entertaining. Take this gem, for example.
Why don't I present evidence? Where do you hear evidence out in the world? In the court of law. Who do you present evidence to in court? The judge. When you come up to me and say you don't believe in God, and I present you with evidence, I'm saying that you're the judge. You're not the judge. God is the judge.
Yes, you do present evidence to the judge, but the judge is also the person to whom you present arguments. I suspect that Cy believes that God is the judge because, as he has said,
the truth is whatever God says. Truth is whatever conforms to the mind of God.
If you're not showing us evidence because we're not the judge of what's true, then you probably shouldn't be giving us arguments either.
Matt agrees that his view on logic is a result of the chemical reaction in his brain. I mean, would you come here today and listen to a debate? It was a bottle of Dr. Pepper arguing against a bottle of Mountain Dew. You shake them up and you open them and they start to fizz. Which of those fizzes would be true? Neither. It's just fizz.
I don't believe in the laws of logic because I think they correspond to objective reality necessarily. I don't know if they do or not. The reason I believe in, for example, the law of non-contradiction is because if I try to think of something both existing and not existing in the same way and at the same time, I find that I can't. You could say that I can't help but believe it, because I can't even conceive of it being false. You might argue that that doesn't prove that it isn't false, but if it is false, that's irrelevant to me because it's not false in any way that I can comprehend. I don't know what it would even mean for the laws of logic to be false. If you want to convince me of something, you have to be logical, not because I presuppose that logic is true, or that it gets you to the truth. You have to be logical because if you are not only am I not going to believe you, I'm not even going to be able to understand you.
If Matt's worldview is true, then our thoughts, our brains are just evolved meat machines. And our thoughts are the byproduct of the chemical reactions in our evolved brains. It's brain barf. He would be fizzing atheistically, I'm fizzing theistically.
As a pragmatist, it's not particularly relevant to me which of you is fizzing more truly. At least not in the sense of true that you mean. What matters to me is which of you seems to be fizzing more effectively and usefully. It's been my experience that theistic fizzing is not particularly useful. It rarely produces falsifiable predictions, and when it does, those predictions tend not to match what I actually experience. Since that's the case, I don't see how I can put the hypothesis that God exists to any practical use. So I see no point in fizzing in that particular manner.
I could stand up here and say, well, Matt says that it's always wrong to own humans, which he said on his show a number of times. But then on another show, he says that humans are just animals. And Matt owns animals. You know, he even eats animals.
Yes, I'm sure Matt believes that if something is an animal, that's a sufficient condition for edibility. What's wrong with being an animal? Theists often seem to think that if we're not these magical bags of woo, then we must have no more value than any other species. Cy's view seems to be that the fact that we can do all of these impressive things that no other species can do adds absolutely nothing to the value and dignity of human beings. Apparently, being biological organisms means we have no more value than mosquitoes unless we were made by an all-powerful wizard for the purpose of his self-aggrandizement.